Hello, you're watching the Ruslan Belov channel. We're getting straight to the frontline update. So friends, today's report will be a bit shorter than usual, simply because there wasn't significant movement across many sections of the front over the past 24 hours. But we'll still quickly go over all areas. One particular direction did see notable progress. So where exactly did the Russian army achieve solid gains? As usual, it's in the southern part of Donetsk region, where the Ukrainian armed forces are consistently struggling. Why do I say consistently struggling? Because Russian fighters keep pushing forward relentlessly. Over the past day, they advanced by 2.5 kilometers, actually a bit more, 2.6 kilometers, and took control of another village. This time, it's the village of Zvezda. There are videos with flags in various parts of the settlement confirming full and undisputed control, not just over part of it. But you know what impresses me even more? The distance these fighters have covered in this sector over the past month. Just for context, maybe some viewers don't follow every report and just tuned in now. On May 29th, our troops were positioned near the eastern outskirts of the village of Alexievka. And now, June 29th, exactly 1 month later, they're in Zvezda, having taken full control of the village. How many kilometers have our assault troops advanced westward during this time, steadily moving forward? I think even without a ruler it's clear the distance is significant, but let's measure it anyway. All right, here we go. 20 kilometers. Once again, 20 kilometers of forward movement in 1 month in this specific sector of southern Donetsk region. Throughout this entire war, excluding the spring of 2022 when columns were moving toward Kyiv, this is probably the most impressive result to date, and this achievement belongs to fighters from the 114th Brigade of the Center Group and troops from the Vostok Group. Now the question is, they've practically reached the Mokria Yali River. A bit of mopping up remains, both to the north and south. So what's next? Where do they go from here? There are actually two quite tempting directions. Move north toward the village of Filia, or move west toward the village of Tolstaya. In both cases, the river will have to be crossed. But if heading north to Filia, they'll need to cross 2 rivers, not just Mokria Yali, but also the Solyonaya River. That's a fairly complex task, and in my opinion, especially since the 114th Brigade is already moving toward Filia from the direction of Dakhnoye, likely reaching it via the road and only needing to cross 1 river, there's little point in trying to cross 2 rivers from this side. So I believe that task is being assigned to the 114th Brigade. Meanwhile, the Vostok Group will likely move west. That's a very juicy direction. First, they'd cross Mokria Yali, then move through 2 small villages, Grushevskaya and Tolstaya, and from there potentially push on to either Zeleny Gai or Andreyevka, Klevtsevo. That would result in a situation where all territory to the south, mostly fields, gets partially encircled, forming a sizable pocket. And if anyone knows how to work open fields and clean out big pockets, it's the Vostok Group. We saw this here, where they took control of 40 to 50 square kilometers in just 1 day. And in this case, the fields span over 100 square kilometers. So for those worried that the pace is slowing down, yes, June has been slightly less effective than May, with about a 15% drop in tempo, but it's still decent. Many were expecting the tempo to increase, but I'll say this. Don't worry, major breakthroughs are coming. There's still cleaning up to be done. This pocket here isn't closed yet, it will be, and that area too. So there's still plenty of action ahead. As for the total gains in the last 24 hours, this sector, which was the only one with forward movement, saw 6.1 square kilometers come under our control. We'll round it to 6 square kilometers. Plus 1 village, Zvezda, was liberated. These are the key results from the past day. In addition, according to the latest information, Novukranka and the village of Dakhnoye in the Dnipropetrovsk region have come under Russian control. Dakhnoye is the first village in Dnipropetrovsk region that the Russian army has taken control of. The Russian breakthrough into Dnipropetrovsk region is gradually gaining momentum. In the Center Group sector, fighting is ongoing on the eastern outskirts of Moravka. North of Novonikolayevka, Russian forces are attacking toward Novopodgorodnoye. Now let's move to the Pokrovsk direction. The assault on the village of Udachnoye continues. Russian forces bypassed the village from the south and advanced 2 kilometers toward the neighboring settlement of Molodetskoye. According to operational data, the village of Belgika, located 2 kilometers south of Pokrovsk, is under the control of the Russian army. On the eastern flank around Pokrovsk, Russian artillery and aerospace forces remain active. Konstantinovka direction. It is known that Russian units coming from the north of the city have reached the outskirts of Belaya Gora, capturing a stronghold near the Naumika River. Reports from Chasov Yar indicate that Russian forces are advancing within the city. Intense fighting also continues near Stupochki, heading toward Konstantinovka. Krasnolimansk direction. So far, Russian units have been unable to gain full control over the village of Kolodyazy. Heavy fighting continues there. Russian troops are flanking toward Zelenaya Dolina. Meanwhile, in an effort to slow down the Russian offensive on Karpovka and Novy Mir, Ukrainian forces have launched counterattacks in the Redkudub area. Despite this, the Russian armed forces managed to close the pocket between Novy Mir and Novomikhailovka. Kharkiv front. On the Kupiansk sector, Russian forces are advancing through difficult terrain in the Sinkovka-Borovaya Zeleny Gai area. The village of Novaya Krugliakovka has come under Russian control. It was part of the Ukrainian defense line in this region. This allowed Russian forces to cut off the road connecting left bank Kupiansk and Borovaya. A parallel railway line also came under control. These rail lines are actively used for moving reserves. Russian assault units broke through the continuous Ukrainian defensive line there. Only isolated resistance remains. The left bank of the Oskol River now resembles a sieve, with breaches in at least 4 sectors. Ukrainian defenses in the area are on the verge of collapse. Additionally, Russian units now control the bridge over the Sinkovka-Krugliakovka River, as well as the rail and road connections linking the Kupiansk and Izium directions. Further north along the front, Russian forces are engaged in combat on the southern outskirts of Glushkovka, as well as in Volchansk, Liptsy, and Zolochiv. The entire line is rumbling with artillery fire. Near Volchansk, both sides are attempting river crossings over the Volchya River. This river has become a key axis of fighting near Volchansk. Ukrainian forces are losing their reserves and aren't receiving reinforcements. Forced mobilization efforts have brought no success. Under the 18 to 24 age program, untrained recruits were drafted, writes retired Colonel Gennady Alekin. Sumy front. For the past 9 months, Ukrainian forces have been trying to advance toward the village of Novy Put in Russia's Kursk region. The Russian armed forces repelled the latest counterattacks. For a second consecutive day, Russian troops have been fending off a major Ukrainian counterattack on the Yablonovka-Krapovshchina sector. Media outlets report that Kiev has doubled its number of artillery strikes. Russian Eastern Group troops are making progress near Yunakovka. Zaporizhzhia direction. Russian forces broke into the center of Kamenskoye, a key settlement on the left flank of the Zaporizhzhia front. The Russians are increasing pressure. In recent days, they achieved a series of breakthroughs, managing to push into the southeastern sector and into the town center, where they are now entrenching. Even pro-Kiev media sources are belatedly confirming these developments. Dnipropetrovsk region, the Russian aerospace forces carried out a strike using a Grom E-1 precision-guided munition. This is a guided bomb weighing 600 kilograms with a range of up to 120 kilometers. Yesterday, reports emerged of a precision air-dropped munition being used by the Russian aerospace forces against a target in Dnipro city. Located over 100 kilometers from the front line, Russian strikes in Dnipro are not new and are sometimes verified by drone footage. However, previous strikes were typically carried out using cruise or ballistic missiles, not aerial bombs. According to sources, Russian forces deployed one of the Grom series variants, sometimes referred to as a rocket bomb, online. This weapon has a modular design and can be fitted with a jet engine to extend its range, reports Voenaya Kronika, Military Chronicle. First, regardless of what exactly struck the Dnipro area, the incident highlights Russia's progress in developing high-precision strike capabilities. Pre-war designs have been reworked on the battlefield and are now being mass-produced. Second, it also underscores the growing importance of expanding the range of aerial munitions. Now, operational tactical aircraft can hit targets over 100 kilometers away, something previously achievable only by strategic bombers. Overall, this once again demonstrates the critical role of air power in modern conflicts. With sufficient aircraft, capability, and trained crews, it can deliver decisive advantages on the battlefield. Geopolitical context. While NATO was holding a summit to discuss hypothetical aid packages for Ukraine, the defense ministers of the SCO countries, Russia, China, Iran, and their allies, held a meeting where they reaffirmed plans to strengthen military cooperation. But even without such support, Russia has learned to rely on its own capabilities. As Financial Times reports, Moscow now produces the bulk of its drones and ammunition domestically, having fully localized its supply chains, according to the resident Telegram channel. This isn't just a technological breakthrough, it's a change in the very logic of warfare. War can now be waged continuously, without pauses or dependence on external suppliers. Russia has reportedly stockpiled nearly 13,000 strategic missiles of various types and has ramped up drone production. According to Western sources, in the coming months, the Russian military will be able to launch up to 1,000 Shahed drones per day. This would allow for a sustained daily strike campaign across all of Ukraine, targeting infrastructure, energy, and logistics, at a time when Ukrainian air defenses are being depleted. In this context, discussions of a symmetric response by Ukraine look more like an attempt to preserve the illusion of control. Defense Minister Umerov recently claimed that over 4 million drones would be delivered to the Ukrainian armed forces this year. But this isn't a strategy, it's an act of desperation. The real problem isn't Ukraine's will to resist, but the exhaustion of its resources at all levels, from military equipment to manpower. Diplomatic front. Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico stated that President Zelensky doesn't like him because he dares to express his honest opinions about the war in Ukraine. Fico also reiterated Slovakia's support for Ukraine's EU membership. I believe Ukraine's path lies in the European perspective. Our government speaks openly about this, and I'm not ashamed to say so. Moreover, I believe we have every reason to support it. Ukraine joining the EU brings Slovakia more benefits than drawbacks. He continued, and I'll say this a third time, it is crucial to begin dialogue at the government level. That's why meeting with Zelensky is pointless. It means nothing. Because he doesn't like me. He hates me for daring to express my opinion about the war in Ukraine. I reminded him that he cost Slovakia 500 million euros by halting the transit of Russian gas through our country. That's all for now regarding the situation on the front. Thank you for watching, friends. Stay informed, stay sharp, and take care. Until next time, goodbye.